computer. And today you've been invited by somebody super special, even if this is a returning call for you, somebody that loved you dearly has invited you to this call to listen to this information. And just to hear it over and over again is sometimes the medicine in itself. It was so interesting that I was on a call yesterday where we share a lot of personal stories of how this has affected people's lives. And it was such a beautiful reminder of that I can't hear this information and how it's really truly touched the lives of thousands and thousands and thousands of people that we know because they took a look at something that you're about to witness today. So today we're going to be talking about activation versus supplementation and why that is so different and why that it's so important to us. I haven't been doing this for the last couple of weeks, so please bear with me if it doesn't roll off my tongue like normal. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and let's get started on sharing. Yay! Okay. So wonderful. And then let me just minimize this. Yay. So the last few times that I've been sharing in my slides, our world is obviously a really different place right now. There's so much to think about. There's so much to consider. There's so much coming at us. And really, honestly, even prior COVID, and we're trying to just even post things like this, but this is what our social media world, typically looks like. We're, doing healthy things, we're eating healthy foods, we're enjoying vacations with our friends and our loved ones and our family. We're, hopefully saving that money and putting it aside. I mean, that's ultimately what our world just kind of continually infiltrates into us. And I love the fact that we're planting seeds with images that we do have this opportunity in front of us. However, as we realize, most of the country right now, whether or not you know it or not, or pay attention to it, looks a little bit more like this. Hold on one moment. There we go. And it's just, this is what we're seeing on, social media platforms. There's a lot of underlying stress. There's a lot going on that we have to consider. There's a lot of conflicting, mindsets and how we protect ourselves and how do we, get past this global pandemic together as a whole. We have people that are stressed out due to financial inability to actually make their ends meet. A lot of times moms and just parents in general are not eating the healthy foods, and they're adding actually to the stresses that are going on because we're really, this right-hand screen is kind of, indicative of what we're trying to do right now, which is like, okay, let me do this and this and this. We've got 2 or 3 jobs going on. At the end of the day, we're typically just wiped out like this bottom right-hand screen here. And I bring this up not to depress us, but really to just show that all of these things, whether or not it's immediately in our lives, but they're all underlying stresses that vibrationally as a whole, we all seem to be affected by. And why are we talking about that today? Well, we're talking about stress and how we can actually help to combat that stress and really what that stress is doing to us beneath our skin, beneath our thoughts, beneath our emotions. What we're going to talk about is what's happening at a cellular level and how that stress really impacts our health on a whole and how we can actually get ahead of it. Because my kumu always said that if you could be the positive epidemic in your world, it only takes one person. So let's be that person that is that ripple effect in our communities and our worlds and our lives and our homes. And this brings me to this beautiful quote here is, let's build wellness rather than treating disease. I love this. I've been an indigenous Hawaiian health practitioner for almost 20 years now. And this has pretty much been my mindset as I realized as such a little girl that, growing up, I'm always trying to better my environment. And as we dive a little bit more into that, I now know that the science of that and the study of that, which, seems passed down to us from generations of just knowing and understanding intuitively, is now called the science of epigenetics, and what we can do to make choices to actually change our genetic outcome and our health outcome. So talking about epigenetics, I pair that with biohacking, because biohacking as an indigenous Hawaiian practitioner was not a word that I really truly adopted very well. It was something where I was like, that just sounds like something that is made up in a scientific laboratory. I'm somebody who, you know, loves and adores our land and tries to grow as many herbs and medicines that I can for my family and for my community. So biohacking, I really didn't quite understand until I started pairing up with people with like minds to show me that biohacking really just means that we have the ability to actually take control by the choices that we make. So we're taking control of our inner environment, so it shows up in our outer environment. I love this quote that it says 97% of our genetic code can actually be changed by the choices we make. And you can see here on the right-hand side, these are some of the ways that we can actually look at to improve our quality of life, so much so that it's actually improving our immune systems, which eventually start to, if done long enough, start to actually improve our cellular makeup and structure. We have the ability to change our DNA. So what you thought was coming at you doesn't necessarily have to be so. It doesn't have to be set in stone. We can make those changes down to relationships and community. That is known to even boost our heart and open our heart so much so that it actually raises our immune systems to fight off things that are coming at us on the daily. So today, like I said, we're going to be talking about health span. Health span is so important to me and to most others because lifespan is important to all of us. The longevity of our life is just truly, we grasp on to every moment that we have with our loved ones. But if that longevity comes with illness and disease, and you're just constantly fighting to maintain a lifestyle that is depleting from our mental and spiritual abilities to really enjoy life, it's not as fun to think about living until possibly 120 years old, or even 100 for that matter. So we're going to look at lifestyle, we're going to look at environment, and we're going to look at how those play a part, like we said, into our genetic coding. So when we look at this is what we're talking about, is actually reducing oxidative stress. So when I talked about how we can actually look at our health on a cellular level, this is such a beautiful picture that depicts what's going on within our body. So here's a beautiful, healthy, normal cell given to us at birth. We're actually quite healthy up until the age of 20. At the young age of 20, we actually start to see a decline in our physiology of actually the aging process. So what happens is, if you compare that to an apple that's left on the counter, nice healthy green apple, you leave it out for a couple of days. In fact, if you cut it in half, even for just a couple of minutes, you'll see that oxygen that helps us breathe actually is the demise and is part of one of the aging theories. So it starts to brown. That's what's happening. And if you compare that to what's happening biologically within our body, that oxidative stress is actually free radicals, that mispaired molecules of oxygen trying to pair up with our cells. And what happens is it starts to damage our cells. So what we don't want to happen is this end column here, which is the total demise of our cell, or this apple here as depicted here. And basically, the demise of our cell, we either see it splitting off, leading to things such as cancer, larger illness and diseases, and or we see it dying off completely, and we see our cognitive abilities start to decline severely, so as we age. And so oxidative stress is really at the root of most illnesses and diseases, as we'll learn here in a moment. Here's it written for you if you're somebody who likes to really kind of see it. So when oxidative stress is basically an imbalance between the production of free radicals due to the numerous daily exposures and the ability of our bodies to neutralize or detoxify those harmful effects. So how do we get oxidative stress? Everybody asks. Well, the mere fact that we eat causes free radicals. The air and the environment that we breathe and some of the chemicals that are in and around our environment that we're facing, even more so nowadays, are the EMFs that are in the air with our cell phone towers. I love this saying that Daisy always says is there's too much month at the end of the money. The stress that we have on a daily basis to just survive and make our ends meet brings so much stress. There's so many different, too much exercise, too little exercise. I mean, you name it. So many things are actually assaulting us, whether or not we know it or not. And that's what I started out with, is that low grade of stress actually starts to surmount within our bodies, and we start to see oxidative stress, which therefore leads to an imbalance and leading to oftentimes inflammation. So what if we could actually reverse that path, reverse that whole aging of our cells, if you will? Well, we have found out through scientific studies that have come down to us, in 2005, this was actually released to the public by a doctor and researcher named Dr. Joe McCord and his team of scientists that have been studying this theory of aging for quite some time. What they realize is we have pathways, you know, it's kind of like little highways, or I explained it to a friend the other day about kind of like a Hiko grid map system, or our, you know, of our electrical wires that are happening. These are called cell signaling pathways, and they basically talk to each other and tell our bodies what to do biochemically. Well, what Dr. McCord and his team of scientists figured out is we can activate that not only through supplementing, not only through our diet, but we can actually, through the synergy of herbs, actually activate our pathways. So let's look at that. What I love is that when they started to study this on the pharmaceutical side, is that there were so many different side effects. So they turned to an Ayurvedic approach and really came together. And what I like to say is world indigenous herbs that have been known for centuries and centuries to heal us in many different capacities. But when they brought these 5 different herbs together and actually synergistically blended them, and it's now in a patented formula in our products that we're about to share, what happened was they realized, oh my gosh, we are able to activate that cell signaling pathway. We are able to actually turn on a cell signaling pathway that tells our bodies to actually make antioxidants at millions per second. Guys, that's huge, because antioxidants, I'll show in a moment here, are the key to actually reversing that free radical damage that we talked about. So this is the question that comes up a lot for a lot of my clients, a lot of friends. Why aren't our diets and supplements we taking enough? A lot of us are so health conscious because we have to be. We're born into that society. And, you know, I had 4 out of 5 of these ingredients actually in my cupboard, and I was the same way, hands crossed. I was like, guys, I'm already taking this. If not, I'm growing it in my yard. I eat very well. I don't need this. I don't know why you're sharing it. But again, what I learned was that the synergy is the key. So let's take a look at that. As a health coach and as somebody who coaches in nutrigenomics and biohacking, I always encourage that consuming foods in proteins, amino acids, high in antioxidants, like we talked about, cruciferous foods, and sulfur-rich foods, these are important because these are things that actually, on the food basis, actually activate that same pathway, right? Guess what? This is how much it would take, guys, for us to actually activate the same amount that our synergistic blend did. 89 glasses of red wine, 375 oranges a day, 11 pounds of blueberries, 15 pounds of dark chocolate. Now, some of that sounds maybe a little bit tempting, but certainly not something that we could sustain on a daily basis. So what we say is that typically you see this 1-to-1 ratio. 1 blueberry equals 1 antioxidant, and cancels out 1 free radical. Well, when you can consider that sextillion amount of free radicals are bombarding our cells on the daily, it's like putting out a fire that's blazing within our bodies with a Dixie cup of water, guys. This 1-to-1 ratio is just not enough. And that's why we're talking about this. And that's why we're so passionate about sharing what we're sharing. It's about the health and well-being of all of us collectively. So again, activation versus supplementation, and we're doing this through biohacking. And we're doing this through what's called the study of nutrigenomics. So we're taking the effects of nutrients and natural compounds and how we're actually putting those together to really change our genetic expression. It's not just supplementation. It's not just our amazing healthy diets. We're adding a tool to our tool belt that is unsurmountably amazing, hands down, best tool I've ever invited into my tool belt, let me tell you, on the health spectrum. So who are we? We are LifeVantage. I literally get chicken skin every time I say this because I'm so proud to link arms with this company. It could make me cry because of the lives that we're changing. We are at the forefront of nutrigenomics. We have been for the last 11 plus years. With the beginning and the inception of it. And we are now sharing in this way. We're direct sales. So you and I have the ability to actually tell this story and share this good news, because it doesn't do any good if it's on the shelves like it was at GNC and, you know, Good Health and all these other places where it was just another bottle. This story is so powerful. It needs to be told. And so what we're going to dive into real quickly with the rest of our time today, the next 15 minutes or so, is the 3 theories of aging. We've already talked about the first theory of aging, and that's oxidative stress, but our family of synergizers that activate cell signaling pathways are called our pro-tandem family of synergizers, and together they're called the tri-synergizer effect. So as we mentioned, the NRF2 pathway is the first and foremost one that, helps to lower our oxidative stress by an average of 40% within 30 days. It actually increases our glutathione, which is our master antioxidant, by 300%, guys. Look that up. We can send you actually articles right now of how that is actually being studied, and not only studied, but published on the National Institute of Health, in regards to glutathione being not only looked at as a cure, but hopefully as a type of cure, but hopefully a preventative measure for what we're facing in our world today. So it increases our catalase. It also increases our superoxide dismutase, which all are, again, are antioxidants. So turmeric, milk thistle, green tea, bacopa, and ashwagandha are the 5 ingredients that synergistically blended together have 1,800 times more effective on our body's ability to produce these antioxidants than any of them individually alone. So that's why I was going, dude, why I'm taking, you know, ashwagandha, I'm taking turmeric, like I'm still inflamed. My foot, you know, my plantar fasciitis didn't go away. Like, why am I not feeling it? And then literally by 2.5 months of taking it, my plantar fasciitis, I could not find again. I was sleeping better. I mean, there's so many benefits, and there's so many on the wide that we can share with you on another call. Here's some of the things, some of the stats that I like to point out about the NRF2. It helps to regulate over 500 survival genes. So what I can't tell you is what it's going to do in your body, because what it does, guys, is it goes in and it signals your cells that are like its own thumbprint, tells it to upregulate and both downregulate, because it's a natural ingredient. So our body takes it in as not like a pharmaceutical, but something that our bodies know how to work with. And it actually upregulates, downregulates, and so that we can actually slow down, hopefully, the aging process. And it's actually proven to extend median lifespan in mice in a study that was done in mice. That is huge. We talked about oxidative stress related to illness and disease. Well, over 250 illnesses and diseases can be related back to oxidative stress. And I I had to do my research because, again, I was like, this sounds too good to be true. PubMed.gov is where I went, PUBMED.gov, and I started typing in oxidative stress and, you know, any of these symptoms right here. You know, celiac disease, Crohn's disease, diabetes, you know, autism, even cancer. There's so many different articles and publications that are written about NRF2, or excuse me, oxidative stress being the root cause. So if we can lower that oxidative stress, you can put 2 and 2 together. We're giving our body that tool that it needs to actually help to combat, so that we can live healthier, longer, happier lives. That is the end goal, right? Here's some of the institutes that are amazing that have done their studies, independent studies outside of LifeVantage. So American Heart Association, Johns Hopkins, Harvard, Texas Tech, you name it. They all independently heard about this through Dr. McCord's work and started to do their own research. In fact, Washington State University said that NRF2 activation is potentially the most extraordinary therapeutic and preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. That is amazing. So I'm very proud to announce that our all-natural supplement, it's actually an activator, actually does wonders in our bodies and in our cells. So the next pathway we're going to talk about is now the NRF1. We're going to go over this real quickly. So again, an all-natural product, all natural ingredients coming together. And what this does is it actually helps to just boost our body's ability to produce mitochondria that is a higher frequency, if you will. So what happens is our mitochondria constantly reproduces itself, but as we age, that reproduction actually gets lower and lower in efficiency, lower and lower in vibration or frequency. And we start to actually see the aging process. Again, this is the second theory of aging. So when we can actually boost our mitochondria, guys, this is the powerhouse of our cells. We're increasing our ability to produce energy. That means helping out the repair of our at a cellular level, which means that our sleep that we get is improved because we're actually our body is working more efficiently, if you can imagine. Supports cognitive, brain health, healthy circulatory and cardiovascular system. It is absolutely amazing. 95% of our body's energy are made up of our mitochondria. I want to say that we're 10% of our body weight, I think it is mitochondria. That's how much mitochondria we have in each and every cell. So when we can boost that, oh my gosh, amazing results. And the last being NAD. So NAD, when we signal that pathway to activate our cells, turning on a light switch is what they liken these, when we are activating, it's turning on that light switch within that cell. What happens is we are actually turning on the body's ability to produce a molecule in a protein called NAD. So what is NAD? NAD is actually found, and it does its little job on a normal basis. But when Dr. Sinclair realized that, oh my gosh, I'm going to study why we age instead of trying to figure out how to combat the aging process. And when he started studying caloric reduction, he realized that that was a key component for our bodies to kick into a survival mode. What happened was he realized that NAD production actually kicked up when people underwent 500 to 800 calorie caloric reduction on a daily basis for long periods of time, which is really hard on the mind, body, and soul. But when that happened, NAD actually ended up feeding a family of protein called sirtuins. Sirtuins are known as the guardian angel or the CEO of our cells. They go into the cell, they actually can unravel a strand of DNA, fix what's defunct, put it all back together, put the cell back intact, and then vacuum out the outside, for the neuroconnectors that are kind of going wonky, and send it on its merry way as if it was that nice healthy cell that we were given at birth. Guys, this is amazing. Our product is the only all-natural product that is known to actually increase our NAD production with by 100% within 24 hours, therefore increasing the ability of our sirtuins to actually support our bodies and our healing at a cellular level. I have many different pro athletes that are finding that this is the winning ticket for their recovery system, as well as, you know, as we get older, by the age of 50, we start to see that our production is nearly half of what we were given at birth, and it just starts to decline rapidly with all of these assaults that are happening. So to increase this is huge. So I love this last one. It improves mental focus, concentration, and mood and positivity or motivation. So we all definitely could use that at this time. So in the end, guys, this is what we're doing. We're teaching you how you can aid your body. Again, giving it a tool to, one, combat give yourself a boost of antioxidants, an immune booster, and to detoxify our bodies so that we are living healthier from the cell outwards. So I love this quote. We are no longer supplementing our deficiencies. We're no longer chasing our tails. We are literally activating our pathways to control the aging and the healing processes. Dr. Brett Brimhall, he is only one of over 2,000 medical professionals on our LifeVantage team, because they're helping more people than they could on one-on-one in their practice. And it's just heartwarming to see when the light bulb goes off for many of us that want to share. At the end of the day, this is all what we want, right? Love, health, joyful memories. This is all invaluable. And this is how we can reinvest back into our health in our life, is taking advantage of biohacking through this science that has come to us through Nutrigenomics, through all of these different ways. We talked about the anti-aging trifecta. We are take very seriously our gut health. We have both probiotics, prebiotics. Our brain health is huge. This actually whole concept of healing our gut actually goes into how we approach our weight management system, which is amazing. We have nootropics, which is an amazing new buzzword out there about how to protect your brain and actually give you smart energy without the crash, without that caffeine crash. And then of course, our skin being our largest organ, we have hair care and also skin care that helps to go down to the fourth dermis with this science, really protecting our cells. And of course, we can't deny that our animals are a huge part of our healing process and our families, and anything that breathes oxygen is going to benefit from reducing their oxidative stress in huge ways. We have many, many calls that you can join to hear some of those ways, so please get back with the person that invited you. But how I'd like to invite you to get started today, please don't take this for granted. Please don't take this for granted. You can start to subscribe and save $127.99 may seem like a lot when you look at the number in a whole, but when you think that $4.17 a day can actually help to prolong, you know, the longevity of your cell and your cellular health, it is so worth the investment, even if you give it a try. I mean, an all-natural product like this is just cutting edge and is doing wonders. So this is one way that you can get started. The next that I'd love to share, if you're not only thinking for yourself, but a loved one, but maybe your whole family, or maybe you just want to jump in and say, give me all of it. I want to do the best that I can for my body and my everything, my environment. These are starter kits that help you to do just that. And not only that, 60% of our customers end up wanting to share. So we have a starter kit that actually gives you samples. You can start to share with people. You can start to share and benefit from this if this is something that you're looking for or praying for in this economy. Right now, our company is on the forefront of health, and it's in over 24 countries, or we're at 24 countries and opening more by the minute, because the worldwide is getting this message like, oh my goodness, because of the science that is backing us. We actually have over 26 peer-reviewed studies that are published, 31 that are in total that are in the works. So please get back to the person that invited you if that is something that just really resonates with your heart. It has been a heartfelt journey through this, and I just love you all. I hope that this message reaches your heart, and if it's not for you, which I can't imagine that it isn't, you breathe oxygen. So, but please share it with somebody who you know that could benefit from this, and get back to the person that inspired you to listen to this. So yay. And if anybody has any questions, I'm super happy to answer any calls. I know I love you guys too. So anyway.
Question. Why are you so awesome? We love you.
Because I love people so much, and I just had somebody really dear to me lose their life, and had they had this 10 years ago when this was first being introduced to the world, 10, 11 years ago, we may have been in a different situation to help cells be healthy. So you just never know. You never know who's praying for what, and our job is just to be the light and the wisdom keepers, and our light and our wisdom is never any good if it's kept to ourselves. So please share, share, and share. These are always recorded, and you're welcome to share with somebody that you love. And if any of you need to get on a call with the person that invited you, or to somebody else, we are more than happy to really dive into what it is that you personally might be facing with a loved one or with your own body. So anyway, love you so much. You guys are awesome. Okay.
Love you. Thanks, Kamile.
Yay.